Jimmy the Greek's column is syndicated in over 200 newspapers. I write about winners. When it comes to mufflers, my choice is Tuffy, because Tuffy can install your muffler usually in 20 minutes or less. And Tuffy's tough. Once you install a Tuffy muffler, you'll never have to worry about a muffler again. I've got better things to do than to worry about mufflers.
I own this place. But tonight, no more work. Tonight is celebration, because tomorrow I go back to Greece. You know how? Because my friends at Bank of the Commonwealth, they helped me to start this place when other banks do not. Now, I go back to Greece and my cousins, they think I am big shot. I am not big shot, but at Bank of the Commonwealth, they treat me like a big shot.
Big shot.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth. No matter what kind of car you buy, no matter where you buy it, nobody can give you more effective rust-proofing than Polyguard, the rust-proofing system from Polyoleum, with a positive 5-year limited repair or replace warranty, with no mileage restriction. When you want a new car, see your car dealer. When you want professional rust-proofing, see your Polyoleum professional. Better than all the rust. Check the yellow pages for the Polyoleum dealer nearest you.
It is fun visiting old friends, and that's what we've been doing over the last day or two here in the Montreal area. We mentioned Jimmy Peters. He'll be joining Sid Abel in just a moment or two. And a fella that we enjoyed watching play this game of hockey, who finished his career after having 2 bad knees, really, with the New York Rangers, Ronnie Harris, who has to be one of the toughest hockey players that I've ever had the good fortune to watch. And Ronnie right now joining Sid.
Ronnie, you were one of the real hard-nosed defensemen with the Red Wings back in the 60s. Then was traded over to New York. What happened over in New York?
Well, Sid, I had quite a few good years in New York. You know, we made the playoffs, and I scored a couple of goals in overtime. And we didn't win the Stanley Cup, but we come close. We went to the finals, and I ended up my career there also. I had a knee injury 3 years ago, and I've been off now playing for 2 years. That's why I'm here, not down there.
Listen, I wanted to ask you, too, now, as a former National Leaguer and a fellow that really, you traded your body for anybody out in that ice, do you get nervous now watching a Stanley Cup game here in Montreal?
Well, Sid, I'm telling you, a game like tonight, my hands are sweating. Really, I'd like to see my home team here, you know, the Montreal Canadiens. They're the home team, but my gosh, my heart's still with Detroit, you know. It's been many good years there in Detroit, and I still miss the town.
Hey, I'm glad to hear you say that. Now, Ronnie, I know that you, I should have talked to you earlier. I know that you've come back here to Montreal, this is your home, and you've got into hockey. You're coaching or something, aren't you?
Yes, I'm coaching a Junior B hockey team here in the Metropolitan Junior Hockey League, and I'm managing also. So I got double trouble.
I thought that I taught you more than that, you know, to stay out of the coaching ranks. It's a lot of fun, though, isn't it?
Well, I said I like, you know, when my first year I wasn't playing, I found the time very hard, you know. I didn't know what to do myself, so somebody asked me to go on and maybe coach, and you know, so I did coach, and then I ended up managing and coaching.
Good. Well, I know that you played your junior hockey in the days that we had farm clubs, and you come out of the Hamilton Farm Club. How do you find the kids, or how do you rate the kids now that you're coaching, compared to going way back when you were a junior?
Well, I think today, you know, kids are a lot smarter. I think they know what to do with the puck a lot more than I think we did, you know. In those days of defense, when we get the puck behind the net and we give it up. Now, my God, they just whirl around that net and just keep on going and around 2 or 3 guys. And my God, it took me 10 years to do that. That was my last game I played, too.
Ronnie, what makes this Montreal Canadian club skate so well? They can really skate.
Well, you know, I get the opportunity to do my job here in Montreal here. I watch them practice quite a bit, you know, and every time they get on that ice, they just skate and skate and skate. I think, you know, it comes down to just heart. You got the heart, boy, you're going to go a long way.
Ronnie, thanks ever so much for stopping by. We're going to talk to another old friend of yours, Jimmy Peters, so thanks ever so much.
Thank you very much, Sid.
Shaky, come forth. A very, very familiar face back in all the Detroit area. Jim, what are you doing in Montreal?
Well, it's a coincidence, Sid. Olive and I and Myrna planned this trip about 2 months ago. And the ironic thing is, Detroit's in the playoffs and they're playing Montreal, so I'm just having one super week's vacation.
Good. Listen, I want to talk a little bit. Bruce mentioned it during the play, the first, second period. Yesterday, we had one of the finest days. We went over to visit an old buddy buddy of ours and reminisced with Toe Blake. How long you played with Toe?
Yes, Sid, I played toe, but more of my throws with Toe Blake is playing fastball. He was a coach and I was a coach, and we pulled off a few things in ball that he got mad at and I got mad at. And yesterday we visited him for 4 hours and we just reminisced hockey, ball, and just had one pleasant afternoon.
It was one of the fun afternoons I've had. Jimmy, you're one of the few fellows that played here in Montreal and was on a Stanley Cup team, and then went to Detroit and was on a Stanley Cup team.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky there, Sid. Of course, they had the Rocket line in Montreal, and then you had the Abel, Howe, and Lindsay line. So when you play hockey with fellas like that, you're bound to get on a Stanley Cup. Sid, I just like to mention about this team right here, Detroit Red Wings. Boy, did they come on that period. And they outshot Montreal 19-10. And I'll tell you, if they can just play 20 minutes like that, they're going home with a victory. They're just super.
I would think so. Listen, they've got this crowd here just wondering what's going on. I think the Canadians thought they'd just throw their sticks out tonight and chase them out the rink, but they're finding it's a little different.
Well, Montreal was a skating team, Sid, and Detroit just took the skating away from them, and they had them hemmed in. They could have been ahead, really, in the last 20 seconds, and if they can play 20 minutes like that, hey, we're going home, man.
Jim, you going to be back in time to see the games in Detroit?
Yes, we're going to be back in time for Sunday's game, Sid, and we're going up to Sherbrooke tomorrow to visit a niece, and I'm also visiting a niece here that's in from London, England, and I have a nephew that's a pretty good little hockey player that I like to talk to, and so we put a little business with many pleasures, and meeting you people is just wonderful.
Jimmy, thanks ever so much. Now let's go back to Bruce Martin.
Okay, we thank you, Sid Abel and Jimmy Peters and Ronnie Harris, for joining us on our telecast between the second and third periods of a game that really opened up in the second period. The Red Wings outshooting Montreal 19-9 in that second period, if you could believe it. And each team scoring 2 goals, but the big thing, the Wings coming from behind a 2-0 deficit to tie the game, and still 20 minutes of hockey to be played. So that's it. After 2 periods of play, the score, Detroit Red Wings 2 and the Montreal Canadiens 2.
You make it mean something no matter where we are. Just sharing in a Coke along the highway. Get a little more. Coke is life and everybody wants a little life. You make it mean something you add a little more. Like Coca-Cola.
Guess who's the family chauffeur? Me, but I love it. I get to drive our 4-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee. It gives me confidence to go anywhere, even when things get a little difficult and those rocks won't stop. My Cherokee's got fantastic ground clearance and traction. Just watch my Jeep Cherokee take this hill, so I can even come way up here to pick up Ginny. Hi, did everyone have fun? Yeah. So did I.
Jeep Cherokee, 2-door or 4-door. We wrote the book on 4-wheel drive.
The new Detroit News AM edition. Open wide and say ah.
Ooh, now that's news.
Hey.
Looking through the AM edition of the news can help you see the light.
I'm downright dazzled.
It'll open your eyes and get you up for the day.
Gee, the other paper never did this for me.
The new Detroit News AM edition at newsstands at 6:30 every morning. It's the first good news of the day.
Hey, you really ought to try this.
Hi, y'all. It's Gratiot Auto's birthday, and we're having a sale to celebrate. We've cut prices so you can enjoy tremendous savings on parts and accessories.
All tires and wheels mounted free. High-speed computerized balancing is also available. Hurry to Gratiot's birthday sale.
It's the biggest birthday sale we've ever had. Happy birthday, Gratiot Auto.
Save on tires, wheels, and more during Gratiot's birthday sale, going on now at all locations, including the newest in Woodhaven.
Time now for Sid's Corner, brought to you by your Metro Detroit AMC dealers and your Metro Detroit Jeep dealers. And Sid, we sit in your corner here at the Forum in Montreal after having watched quite a second period of hockey.
I think that's as fine a period of hockey as the Wings have played pretty well all year, Bruce. I liken it to the last game of the season in Detroit, where the Wings dominated and carried the play, but in the first period, they scored the 4 quick goals. The Canadians couldn't come back, and in fact, Jimmy Rutherford blanked them. Jimmy Rutherford played very well in the first period tonight. Then in the second period, it seemed to be the kid line that perked things up and really got the Wings on track. A surprising thing, I was looking at the stat sheet that they sent up between periods. Errol Thompson had 5 shots on net, and I would say all 5 were potential goals. And he's had 7 shots so far tonight, and I don't think very few players have 7 shots against the Montreal Canadiens.
You know, you could probably see it at home as well or better than we can here at the Forum in Montreal, but they're still having quite a discussion up here, led by you and me at times, over who scored that first goal. They did not give Bill Lahead even an assist on the goal, and I would swear that it was a shot fired by Lahead, but they have credited McCourt with the goal and Woods and Berkman the 2 assists.
Well, I'm sure I saw Billy Lahead turn around and shoot the puck. I don't know where, right when it went in, I said McCourt, but then I saw a little bit of a replay of it, and I thought, well, son of a gun, it was Lahead's shot that went in. But he doesn't even get an assist, so I don't know. We'll just have to wait and let the players tell us probably after.
Well, at any rate, we're midway between periods number 2 and 3 out of a 2-2 tie, and we'll be back with more of Sid's Corner after we watch this from American Motors.
I'm the owner of this great-looking car. It's my new AMC Concorde DL, and you know, I didn't spend a penny extra for all this luxury. Smart.
Individual reclining seats, plush interior, all standard. Can I pick a luxury compact? Smart.
A smooth, quiet ride, the nicest luxury of all. Standard on my Concorde. Smart.
The AMC Concorde DL, America's new luxury compact, and its owners?
Smart. Sid, you're the old question answerer on this particular show, and I've got one for you right now. How do you predict the third period?
I would think that period would give the Wings an awful lot of confidence. I expect that they'll come out and do the same thing, hopefully catch the Canadiens where they don't get them going. If the Canadiens were to score the first goal, Bruce, it might get them turned on again. But the Canadiens are not skating right now, and the Wings are, so I think Bobby Crom will be getting them fired up in there, and I expect a good period of hockey.
I'll tell you, when you get the Montreal Canadiens, you give them a 2-goal lead and then come from behind and tie them in the same period of hockey. That's something that doesn't happen too often.
Things will be happening over in that Montreal Canadian room because I know Scotty. He'll be having a few words to say to them, and I would think Sammy Pollock might even visit the room tonight, too, so we'll have to wait and see.
Because they don't want to go into Detroit's Olympia with a 1-1 record on the first 2 of the best-of-7 series. Well, that takes care of it for this time. Sid's Corner, brought to you by your Metro Detroit AMC dealers and your Metro Detroit Jeep dealers. The score here after 2 periods is tied at 2-2. We'll be ready for the start of the third period in just a moment.
Ah, the endless possibilities of Peshki meats and your imagination. Imagine a great new way to enjoy Peshki lunch meats or bologna. Put a slice or 2 on 2 triangles of refrigerated crescent roll dough. Add a slice of American cheese, wrap it all up, and bake till brown. Your imagination makes it possible. Peshki makes it perfect.
Peshki makes it perfect, 'cause Peshki really cares.
Your small outboard hunt is finally over. You've found the Chrysler Tigers. Purr with the 4, run with the new 6 or 8, and move with the Chrysler Sailors, made specially for sailboats. Why buy a pussycat when you can unleash a Chrysler?
Wolverine Championship Harness Racing is back at DRC. For only $250, you can have an evening's fun watching the world's top horses and drivers on one of the world's fastest mile tracks. Have dinner or a snack, or just stay at the finish line and cheer them on. But don't miss the excitement of Wolverine Championship Racing at DRC. And now it's even easier to get to. Just take the new Jeffries Freeway to the Inkster or Middle Belt exit. The action starts 8 p.m. every night except Sunday. And fun, you can bet on.
Hello, I'm Fred Drendel. I'd like to tell you about our new service policies. Competitive pricing. We've lowered our service prices on all service items your car needs most often. Guaranteed prices. We quote you a guaranteed price in advance, no hidden charges. Fast, dependable service. Most repairs take about 2.5 hours. Payment convenience. We accept most all major credit cards and personal checks. We are geared to service you better at Fred Drendel Lincoln Mercury.
The 2 teams back out onto the ice here at the Forum in Montreal, ready to get the third period underway. The game tied at 2-2 after an exciting second period of play. And I guess it would bear repeating that in the first period, the Red Wings were outshot 12-6, and they got a couple of breaks here and there, and some good goaltending by Jimmy Rutherford. and it ended at a 0-0 tie. Then Robinson tipped in a shot with Montreal holding a one-man advantage. Detroit was 2 men short, Canadians short 1 man. LaPointe fired, and Robinson tipped it in. Rutherford had no chance on it whatsoever. That came at 3:37. Then Cornwallis, with a puck bouncing right for the Canadians this time, circled around and did not get much of a shot away, and somehow it just sort of slid past Jimmy Rutherford. And it was now 2-0 at 15:19 of the second period, but the Wings came back with 2 goals in the last 2 minutes. It was, I thought, a shot by Lahead, but possibly by Dale McCourt from Bergman and Woods. They've given him McCourt, Bergman and Woods at 18:06. And then with LaPointe off, McCourt got another power play goal from Larson and Saint Laurent. So we're tied at 2-2, and the teams are at full strength as the third period gets underway. Reed Larson back out on the right wing again with Saint Laurent and Errol Thompson. Now this is Errol Thompson shooting it along the boards. It went into the Canadian zone. Tremblay returns it to center ice. Larson tried to get it back over the line. It came out center ice, and Thompson turns it back in. Errol Thompson took a backhand shot. He scores! Now Dryden misplayed it, and the Wings lead it 3-2.
And we have talked about the way Errol Thompson can shoot a backhand shot. He was in a bad angle, but he let it go, and Dryden wasn't expecting it. And let me tell you, it caught just up under the crossbar on the short side. And Errol Thompson had 5 shots in the second period, and he could have had 3 or 4 goals and didn't come up with anything, but he finally scored a goal. What a one to get. Now we'll find out how well the Canadians can come back.
Actually, it looked like Dryden had the angle pretty well covered, but it went off of him into the net. An unassisted goal for Thompson. Play goes into the Detroit zone now. They go to the corner after it. Dennis Polonich digging it out. Circling in behind his own goal. Here's Polonich moving out on the wrong wing over on the left side. He dumped it to the Montreal blue line. Savard has it there. Taken away. John Hamel was knocked down. Here come the Canadians 2-on-1. Shot at Lemaire. And the play was broken up by Harper, the only man back. And the Wings shoot it back into the Canadian zone. Dryden came out of the net to clear it away from Saint Laurent. Coming right back now, Larry Robinson into the Detroit zone. A puck bounced to the boards by Harper. Harper swings it out to center ice. This one goes down the ice, and there'll be an icing call as Savard is back after it. And the play will come back into the Detroit zone. And so an unassisted goal for Errol Thompson at the 22-second mark. That's some more from out of town. Philadelphia, end of 2 periods of play, leading Buffalo 3-2 in the game at Philadelphia.
And Boston and Chicago are now 3-3 in the third period at Boston.
Now the Wings have Hextall, Libet, and Nedemansky. Dennis Hextall slides it out to center ice. Bouchard. His pass tipped away by Hextall. Libet played it back into his own zone. Took a bump along the boards from Jarvis. Reed Larson. Larson turns away from Jarvis's check. Comes out center ice. Larson shooting it deep into the corner in the Canadian zone, and LaPointe goes back of his own net after it. He put it right on the stick of Nedemansky. He wheeled it to the opposite corner. Hextall going in after it. Let it come back to the line. Tommy Bergman's shot knocked down. Here's LaPointe heading out. Now LaPointe, a long pass on the left side. It went into the Detroit zone, but Larson is there to get it. He lost it to Chartrand. Chartrand setting up Gainey with a shot, and Rutherford came out of the net and stopped him. And the Red Wings almost gave it away. Now it's Nedemansky coming back. Out to center ice, leading a 3-man rush with a pass to Libet over the line. Libet dropped it off for Larson. He handed it back off the boards. Libet goes chasing after it. Wheeled it off to the side of the net. Hextall in behind the Montreal goal. Put it out in front. Nedemansky hit the goal post. And he took a second shot, and Dryden stopped him. There's a penalty coming up to Montreal. And Nedemansky had a golden opportunity to put Detroit out in front by 2. A pause in the action. The score tied at 2-2. We'll be back, or rather, the score is 3-2. Detroit will be back in just a moment.
It's here, a very special beer from Labatt's. Labatt's Special Light, naturally brewed beer with 1/3 fewer calories than our regular beer. Labatt's Special Light, a very special beer brewed for lightness, refreshing, less filling beer with real Canadian beer taste. Labatt's Special Light, a very special beer.
For your your customized advertising and promotional needs, including pens, glassware, desk accessories, T-shirts, lighters, and printed golf and sportswear, you call Alex at 534-4800. Boy, what a chance. Nedemansky had two chances. Hit the post on one of them, I believe, and came right back out to him, and he shot the second one into Dryden, who was down on the ice. But Jarvis has gone off now for interference at 2:18, and the Wings have the extra man. Each team has one power play goal. Reed Larson back at his own blue line, handing it off to Dale McCourt. Back to Larson, still in the Detroit line. He played it out center ice over two lines to Hextall, and that'll bring a face-off back inside the Detroit blue line.
The game between Chicago and Boston, Bruce, has gone into overtime in Boston. They're tied at 3-3. Just talking about Nedemansky's chances, I'm sure he hit the post for the first shot. He should have just held up a little bit on the rebound because he had Dryden right flat on his back, but he shot it right back into him.
Now the puck driven off the glass, back to the Detroit blue line again with Larson back after it. His pass skipped off Savard. Savard went in behind the Detroit net and dug it loose. And they hold it along the boards in the Detroit zone. The whistle stops the play. They'll bring the face-off out over the Detroit blue line, ruling that Savard was the one who had stopped the play.
If there was ever a golden opportunity for the Wings right now, New York Islanders have gone ahead of Toronto in the third period, 2-1.
Now the play comes out center ice. Nedemansky had trouble with it. Reed Larson picked it up. Here's Larson heading into the Canadian zone, going to the corner with it. Larson in behind the net. He fell down. He's on top of the puck. And that'll bring the face-off out over the Montreal blue line with 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining in Jarvis's penalty. Bobby Crom in behind the Detroit bench, yelling away at his team. Bob Bourne scored for the Islanders in the third period to give New York that 2-1 lead. Detroit with the extra man for still 1 minute and 6 seconds. They lead the game 3-2. Now Polonich took a whack at it, slid it in behind the Montreal net, and Guy Lapointe goes after it. Lapointe heading out, shooting it out center ice. Tommy Bergman back at his own blue line with it. Bergman trying to work away from Savard. Savard doing quite a job killing the penalty. It's still deep in the Detroit end. Dale McCourt starts out. Now McCourt sliding it ahead for Dennis Polonich down the right wing. Polonich over the Montreal blue line. He pulled up along the board. Saint Laurent takes the loose puck in behind the Canadian net. Turning with it, he was checked there by Lemaire. Came off to Polonich. Back on the line to Dale McCourt. McCourt played it off the boards. Tommy Bergman tried to center it, picks it up a second time. Then Savard took it away. And again, Canadians shoot it back into the Detroit zone. Jimmy Rutherford cleared it all the way to center ice for Polonich. Polonich's pass went right through Errol Thompson. Gainey will pick it up. Bob Gainey turns right out in front of his own bench. Now he's checked by Thompson. Down on top of the puck, the face-off will stay just over the Detroit line with 9 seconds remaining in the penalty. Detroit 3 and Montreal 2. Philadelphia in the third period, continuing to lead Buffalo 3-2 in the game at Philadelphia. Andre Saint Laurent with Thompson and Polonich. Puck's kept at center ice. Now Lapointe drives it into the Detroit zone. Greg Jolly with it ahead to Tommy Bergman to Thompson over on the right side. His pass way out in front of Polonich. And then Thompson brought it back in offside, and the penalty time is up. And the Canadian player Jarvis is back out onto the ice. Teams are at full strength with 15 minutes and 39 seconds still to play.
The big thing now, Bruce, is if the Wings just continue to skate, don't start to try to lay back and let Montreal come to you because they got too much power. They've got this Montreal club talking to themselves. They were outskated in the second period, and they're not used to being outskated in this form. But
face off just over the Canadian line. Saint Laurent, Thompson, and Polonich still out there with Bergman and Jolly. And it's Cornway, Mondu, and Houle for Canadians. Tommy Bergman all the way back in behind his own goal. Just rolled it along the boards. Polonich moved in to cover up. Dennis Polonich fell down. Cornway took it away right out in front. And Thompson broke it up. Sent it to the line. It's kept in by Savard. He handed it off to Mondu. Checking on the play, Errol Thompson. Now 3 of the Wings move out. 3-on-2. Polonich over the line. Tried to work it to Thompson. He did. Thompson went into the corner with it. It bounced away. Saint Laurent covered by Mondu. Robinson and Polonich having words as the play comes back into the Detroit zone. Rajan Houle just slid it to the goal, and Rutherford reaches out to grab it there. And they'll keep the face-off in the Detroit end. A pause in the action. The score is 3-2. The Red Wings, and we'll be back in just a moment.
People who truly appreciate music appreciate the sound shops at Highland.
So we have played 5 minutes of the third period. The Red Wings lead the game 3-2. The play will be in the Detroit zone. Dale McCord with Billy Lahead and Paul Woods. And Rajan Houle, Cornwallier, and Mondu for Canadians. Here's Mondu out in front with a shot. He drove it off the goalpost. He hit the goalpost. That's the third time for Montreal, at least 3. The play comes back into the Montreal zone. Larry Robinson after it. Giving it now to Savard. A long pass at center ice. Houle played it to Cornwallier. He got it over the line. Billy Lahead back to take it away. Dale McCourt couldn't control it. Mondu sent it back into the Detroit zone, and after it, Reed Larson. His pass, and Al Cameron had trouble with it. Houle took it away from him. Here's Houle circling it, put it right out in front. It came to the line. Savard a shot, and that's grabbed by Jimmy Rutherford, who holds on to it. And now Canadians coming on, and Sid, this is the line that just killed them Monday. And that Cornwallier, Houle, and Mondu combination remains powerful.
Well, and you can't make mistakes against the Canadians because they have so many players that can capitalize on it. And it was a mistake. Reed Larson did have the puck. He went to give it to Cameron. He didn't put enough beef on the pass. And first thing you know, Cameron tried to just swish it out of the zone, and he missed it. Then they're in there deep. Your forwards are out in center ice, and you get in trouble.
Lemaire now with Schutt and Lafleur. Puck came back. It's taken away by Lahead. Lahead wrapped it out to center ice. That went by everybody. Back after it, Bouchard, and as he got there, he touched it just ahead of Paul Woods, who was dashing down the ice, so it's an icing call. And they'll come right back into the Detroit end with a face-off to the right side of Jimmy Rutherford.
Bobby Crown always seems to be chewing his gum, and very active behind the wing bench.
Scotty Bowman behind the Montreal bench, perhaps wondering what's happening. And we mentioned in attendance Bruce Norris, the president of the Red Wings. There's a shot by Larry Robinson, the save made by Rutherford. He swept it into the corner. Paul Woods couldn't get to it. Guy Lapointe put it out in front, and it slides into the opposite corner. McCourt goes in with Schutt, played it in behind his own net. Harper goes in, ties up Lafleur. Still, though, the Canadians have the play. It came back toward the blue line. It bounced out to center ice. Montreal has to come back on side. Now Lapointe played it to the Detroit line. Billy Lahead knocked it down there. Lahead a move away from Larry Robinson. He has Woods over the line. Woods with a shot. That's blocked by Lapointe. Woods went right in and took it in the corner. He set up Billy Lahead with a shot. Oh, and Dryden had to stop that. And he made a big move on it. John Amell tipped it back into the Montreal zone offside. And Lahead came very close.
Well, let me tell you, I don't think Dryden really realized that puck was right where it was. He just put his glove out of the back of his stick hand, made a terrific save. If the Wings could ever get up another goal, they'd really have this club back to the wall.
The face-off out over the Canadian blue line. Hextall wins the draw. Tommy Bergman drove it back into the Montreal zone. Riseborough dug it out there, though, and he hands it back to Tremblay, and now to Lapointe. They're checked at center ice. Libet took it away, sweeps it back into the Canadian zone. Bouchard now clearing at center ice. Reed Larson just shot it right back into the Montreal end, in behind the goal. Guy Lapointe played it now to Lambert, got away from him. Larson lost it, though, at the blue line. Here come the Canadians back, and it was Tommy Bergman that moved in to cover up. And Hextall bounces it back into the Montreal end. We have 13 minutes to play in the third period. Detroit leads 3-2. Here's a long pass over the line. Riseborough's checked by Tommy Bergman. Puck came right out in front. It went to the corner with Lambert cutting in. He fell down. Still, the Canadians have the play, but covering up Nedomansky. Tommy Bergman takes it. Shot it along the boards. Hextall couldn't get to it. Bouchard gave it off to Tremblay. Nedemansky took a swing at it, and Hextall drives it off the boards to center ice. Back after it, Savard. Now Savard's pass off Lambert. He sweeps it in behind the Detroit net. Rutherford out of the goal, leaving it for Tommy Bergman. Tommy just dumped it out center ice again. It'll maybe not go far enough for an icing. It is going far enough. And as Bouchard is back to touch it, they whistle it down, and the play comes to the Detroit end. A pause in the action. The score, Detroit 3, Montreal 2. We'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah, the banks are all alike. They say they want to help, but where are they when you need them?
When I needed help, they told me that I didn't have enough of my money to get any of their money.
Sure, you guys have been banking with the wrong banks. The Bank of the Commonwealth, they helped me send my kid through college. Braces for my daughter's teeth. My wife's car. In fact, I get so much help from my bank, my family thinks I'm made of money.
Here, let's see you make this into money.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Just like my family.
Well, here's a Sony AM/FM recorder, which features drip-free FM reception, one-touch recording, an extremely sensitive built-in microphone, and an automatic shutoff switch. Sony gives you the best. Play is into the Detroit zone. Mondu in behind the Red Wing goal, being checked by Saint Laurent. Puck bounced along the boards. The Wings didn't get it out. It's kept in by Savard. Savard goes to the circle with it. Into the corner to Cornway. Fired it right through the goal crease. Polonich picks it up, dumps it out center ice. And it slides back to the Montreal end. Mondu lost it there to Errol Thompson. The two of them go in the corner, deep in the Canadian end. Here's a pass. Hamel with a shot. And the save made. Hamel digs it out again. A backhand shot. That puck bouncing all over in front of the Montreal net. And the Canadians clear it out to center ice. And the Wings again came extremely close. Now here Canadians coming down. Harper broke it up right at the Detroit blue line. Errol Thompson never saw it. Back inside the Detroit zone. Harper and Houle are all tangled up. On a delayed offside, the play continues. Polonich right out in front of his own goal. They finally whistled it down. And the crowd a little unhappy that Harper had Houle all tied up, and there was no way Canadians could move back in. But I'll tell you, the Wings came close.
Oh, John Hamel, he did everything that you could ask a player to do. Dryden's flat on his back. The puck bounced around, and they had 2 or 3 good whacks at it, but nobody was there to put it in the net. The Canadians finally had to shoot it out, just panicking.
Now the Wings come back with Larson and Bergman back along their defense, and up front, Dale McCourt, Billy Lahad, and Paul Woods. Puck sent into the Detroit zone. Tommy Bergman took a whack at it, didn't get it out. Here's Steve's shot, and he shot wide. He backhanded it just wide as he moved in. Dale McCourt clearing it out center ice. Shutt goes after it. Shutt lost it for the moment, pick it up a second time. Canadians fire it into the Detroit zone. Lahead goes back after it. Almost lost it. Larson covered up. They lost it a second time. Canadians shot it to the side of the net. Billy Lahead knocked it away, and he drives it off the boards back out center ice. 10 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the third period. 3-2 Detroit. Puck back into the Detroit end. Tommy Bergman lost it. Here's Lemaire moving in. He hit the side of the net with it. Puck bounced right out in front, and Bergman just took a golf at it, and it went up into the crowd.
Well, Bruce, what the Red Wings are doing now, they're not playing with the poise that they had 5 minutes ago. They're just getting the puck deep in their own zone. Instead of trying to find one of their own players to pass it to, they're trying to dump it out. And you can't make mistakes in your own zone against this Montreal Canadian club.
Now Detroit back out with Harper and Hamel, Nedemansky, Libet, and Hextall. And the Canadians, Lemaire, Shutt, Lafleur, Savard, and Robinson. Libet tried to dig it away. He does. He's still deep in his own zone, right out in front of his goal. He hands it off to Harper. Harry Harper sent it back to center ice. Hextall played it there, and that pass covered 2 lines. It's offside. So they'll bring it back just inside the Detroit line. Red Wings are scheduled to leave immediately following this hockey game, flying home by charter tonight into Detroit City Airport, and the game Friday night against the Canadians there. Now Savard wheeling it in behind the Detroit net. Rutherford out of the goal. Played it away from Shutt over on the right side. Nedemansky. Hextall tipped it out to center ice. And Lemaire is back after it. Jacques Lemaire's pass. Lafleur overskated it. Robinson picks it up into the Detroit end. Here now Larry Robinson. Robinson in behind the Detroit goal. still looking for somebody. Turned it to the opposite direction, and Harper tipped it away, but not out. Rutherford comes out of his goal again. He played it to Hextall, Dennis Hextall. Off to Libet on the left side, and Libet scoops it out to center ice. It got away from Robinson, sliding deeper into the Montreal end. Robinson tied up along the boards by Netamansky. Hextall gets into it. That puck is loose, and Canadian Savard has it. Serge Savard out in front of his own net, and now turning out center ice. Being checked by Hextall, he drops it back for Robinson. Into the Detroit zone, Larry Robinson. And the play broken up by Netamansky, and it went in offside anyway. And 9.5 minutes remain to be played here in the third period.
Toronto to New York in the third period. And, Toronto come from behind. Bob Bourne had scored for New York to put the Islanders ahead 2-1, and Toronto come back and tied the score 2-2 to Ferguson, and Ferguson scored a hat trick the other night, so Ferguson has scored 4 goals in the last 2 games for Toronto.
Now the play goes deep into the Detroit zone. Tommy Bergman played it along the boards on the left side. Errol Thompson dumps it ahead for Saint Laurent. Long pass on the right to Polonich. He fired a shot way wide. Puck goes into the corner, and Canadians wind up with it. Bob Gainey trying to pull away from Thompson. Thompson slowed him up, and the Wings just clear it back into their own zone. Tommy Bergman has it there. Center ice to Thompson with Saint Laurent moving. Jarvis checked on the play, and here's Bouchard. His pass off Cournoyer, still at center ice. Polonich knocked it away from him. Now Saint Laurent. He was dealt to the ice. A good heavy check by Gainey. Guy Lapointe. Now Lapointe carries back into the Detroit zone. He was turned around by Reed Larson. Puck back out center ice. Lafleur with it. He handed it back to Bouchard. It comes back into the Detroit zone. Rutherford in behind his own goal. And Rutherford himself cleared it down the ice. It slides back into the Canadian end. 8.5 minutes to play. In the third period, 3-2 Detroit. Montreal's Lafleur moving out. A good move. Lafleur's pass broken up at the Detroit line by Larson. He's got Errol Thompson on the move. Here's Thompson trying to cut through. Play goes into the corner. Going after it was Robinson. He cleared it out to center ice, and Harper has to hustle back. Harper's pass bounced back into the Canadian end. Now it's Savard with it. Savard dropped it off. The crowd, or rather the Montreal bench, is screaming at referee Bruce Hood. Play comes back to the Canadian blue line. Savard hands it off to Pierre Mondeau. Mondeau to Savard. Now he moves back into the Detroit zone. Hamel checked him. Lafleur ran into Paul Woods. Play stays in the Detroit end. Oh, and Lafleur really gave Hamel a belt. They take it into the corner. Puck came loose right out in front. Wings trying to work it out of their own zone. It didn't come out the first time. Here's Lafleur with a chance. He fell down. Still the play in the Detroit end. And finally, McCourt picks it up and just sends it back into the Montreal end. 7 minutes, 25 seconds to go here in the third period. Canadians clear it down the ice in behind the Red Wing goal. Harper goes into the corner after it. And the play is whistled down as a Montreal bench, I believe, is going to be called for too many men on the ice. So a pause in the action. The score 3-2 Detroit. Will be back in a moment.
Little Caesar's Pizza. Nobody loves it like a kid. Fun to eat. Nobody loves it like Little Caesar's Pizza. Nobody loves it like it's my favorite treat. Nobody loves it like I do. Like I do. Little Caesar's Pizza.
Look for our ad in the news and free press TV books for a free pizza. Well, it was an icing call, and the linesman over there was counting players.
Boston defeated Chicago in overtime 4-3, so to put Boston 2 games up in the series, going back to Chicago.
So the teams remain here at full strength. The linesman and the referee were both over there counting the Montreal players on the ice. Face-off will be to the right side of the Canadian goal. Nick Libet fired it in behind the net, going into the corner. Netamansky with Lemaire. Netamansky bumped Lemaire off the puck. Here's Libet with a shot, knocked down in front. Libet sent it to Netamansky, and Dryden knocked that away on the short side. Canadians clear it all the way down the ice. Jimmy Rutherford way out of the goal to play it away from Cournoyer. Reed Larson handing it off to Netamansky, and he shoots it out center ice. 6 minutes, 50 seconds to play. 3-2 Detroit, and the Canadians shoot it up into the crowd. Face-off will stay at center ice.
Terry O'Reilly scored the goal in Boston to win the game in overtime.
Reed Larson, who has played a much better hockey game in this one here tonight. And I guess those first game jitters and quarterfinal play Stanley Cup at the Forum in Montreal just have to hit you.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. He's playing the way we know Reed Larson can play tonight. He's had several good shots from the point. He's played very strong back in defense, and Bobby Crom, I think, did the smart thing. Bruce started him up on the right side to just let him loosen up a little bit.
Face-off at center ice with San Laurent, Polonich, and Errol Thompson. Puck came back to the Canadian line. Larry Robinson shot it to the Detroit line. Tommy Bergman has it there. Now Bergman ahead to San Laurent. He shot it to the Canadian line. Montreal takes over. Lapointe. Guy Lapointe clearing it in behind the Detroit net. Jimmy Rutherford in after it, holding it there for Tommy Bergman. Dennis Polonich and Lemaire battle along the boards after it. They hold it for a face-off to the right of the Detroit net. The play was whistled down a little prematurely, and Lemaire just waved his hand, and Guy Lapointe goes over to talk to referee Bruce Hood.
Bruce, this just shows that the Canadians can get frustrated, too. Things just aren't going their way right now, and they've got them all arguing. Lemaire is mad, Lapointe is mad, Lafleur's shaking his head. And when you're doing things like that, you're not playing your regular game, so they're just hoping now that they can get a call from the referee that would be in favor of it.
Wonder how long Hood was going to put up with it, because you're just not supposed to argue with the referees. Face off to the right of the Detroit goal. Hextall won the draw. Larson didn't get it out, though. Steve Schutt kept it in. Larson a second time swings it out to center ice. Lapointe comes right back in from Montreal. Took the shot, hit the side of the net, and it's grabbed there by Jimmy Rutherford. That hit the outside of the goalpost. There's a pause in the action with a score 3-2. Detroit will be back in just a moment.
Ah, I see what the problem is. You have the bug. Yeah, the CB bug. You want to get into CB, but it is so confusing. You need to see a specialist. CB specialists. They have the know-how to put together and install the right system for you.
Like this new Craig In-AM FM stereo with 40-channel CB, and it's less than $150.
So take it from Dr. CB. See the specialists. CB specialists. In Dearborn, Warren, Royal Oak, and Livonia. 10-4? I make a little joke.
Along with Sid Abel with you from the Forum here in Montreal with a score 3-2 Detroit. 6 minutes, 13 seconds to play in the third period. Risebrough, Lambert, now Cornway on for Canadians. A puck bounced away from Cornway. Here come the Wings, 2-on-1. It's Thompson and Hextall. Thompson took the shot. Hextall the rebound, and he didn't get it in. It bounced wide. Canadians, Cornway left it right out in front, and Dryden grabs that puck. And again, the Wings came just that close.
Oh, that's unreal. Thompson did the correct thing. He took the shot, and he really let it go. Dryden beat him, but the rebound come right over to Hextall. He had the entire net to put it in, but he dished his stick underneath it and went and put it right by the open corner.
Well, they'll keep the face-off in the circle to the left side of the Montreal goal. We have exactly 6 minutes to play in the third period.
School would have been out had this gone in, and Hextall will never miss a goal any easier. Wide open net.
Puck was bouncing a bit. Now it goes in behind the Canadian net. Going in after it, Savard. His pass ahead to Risebrough. Risebrough just sent it out center ice, and the Wings will take it there with Tommy Bergman. Tommy Bergman handing it back to Thompson. He shot from the blue line. That goes wide. Kept in at the line a second time, then San Laurent couldn't keep it in. Coming back, Risebrough, and he was checked right at the Detroit line by Tommy Bergman. Bergman right out in front of Rutherford. He bounced it out to the line. It's kept in by Canadians. Here's Risebrough. Tommy Bergman stopped that. Now the Wings move 3 men down. Errol Thompson, he just wrapped it off the boards as Detroit goes for the player change. Savard in behind his own net. Now Savard bringing it out to Larry Robinson. Robinson's pass, Lambert into the Detroit zone with a shot. Rutherford blocked that. Play goes to the corner. Risebrough goes in now with Polonich. Into the opposite corner, going in after it, Paul Woods. He's checked in along the boards. They hold it for a face-off, which will stay in the Detroit end off to the left side of Jim Rutherford.
And this will be the longest 5 minutes and 3 seconds that Coach Crom will probably have all season.
The face-off will be deep in the Detroit end. The shots on goal read now for Montreal 26, for Detroit 33. And when you figure that Detroit was outshot 12-6 in the first period, Detroit had 19 shots, Montreal 9 in the second period, and the Wings have had 8 thus far here in the third, and the Canadians have had but 5. They'll play to the left side of the Detroit net. John Amell goes into the corner. Amell dumped it ahead to Paul Woods. Woods coming out center ice. Woods now will carry over the line into the Montreal zone. Picked it up a second time. Went in behind the Canadian net, and Dryden came way out of the goal to grab onto it and hold it. As Paul Woods made the individual effort that time to keep the play deep in the Montreal end.
Philadelphia are still leading Buffalo 3-2. Toronto and New York Islanders are 2-2 and playing in the third period. Toronto have come from behind to tie that up. And of course, Boston won in overtime, 4-3 over Chicago.
Dale McCord, Lahead, and Woods now with Harper and Hamel. All 5 Red Wings inside the Montreal blue line. And there's Ron Finn again, the linesman, waving McCord out of the face-off circle. So Woods goes in to meet Mondeau. But came back out now to Rajan Houle, coming out center ice with Gainey coming up with him. 2 of them into the Detroit zone. He dropped a pass. McCourt took it away, and he hit the referee with it, and it went up into the crowd. That'll keep a face-off to the left of the Detroit net with now 4 minutes and 38 seconds to play. Third period, and Detroit leading 3-2. I'm glad I've got a hold of the microphone. I think I'd have my nails bitten right down to the knuckle.
Oh, and that clock moves so slow when you want it to spin at the end when you have a 3-2 lead.
Now it's McCourt trying to work it out. Couldn't do it. Coming in, Lahead knocked it away. Wings still don't work it out. Now Paul Woods drives it out to center ice. Guy Lapointe brought it back in, shot it in behind the Detroit net. Puck bounced back toward the blue line. Savard has it there. He dumped it in behind the net again. It's an empty net out in front. And coming back, it was Dale McCourt that made the play as Rutherford had moved way out of the goal. Savard kept it in, dumped it in front, and there's a shot that deflected up into the crowd off of Terry Harper.
Now what a job Terry Harper did.
So again, a pause in the action with a score: Detroit 3 and Montreal 2, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Our love is strong, but we need the old songs and the thrill that has long departed. It's no disgrace going back to the place where the fun and the chase was started. And so we'll laugh and joke tonight, share a coke tonight, like when rock and roll was king. We'll sing the songs we used to sing. When you're singing the song, we'll sing the song.
Face-off will be in the circle off to the right of the Detroit goal. 4 minutes and 8 seconds to play in the third period. Detroit leading Montreal 3-2. Dennis Hextall, Netamansky, and Libet, the forward line of the Wings. Lemaire, Lafleur, and Schutt for Montreal. Canadians went out in front 2-0. In the second period, the Wings came from behind to tie it to Thompson's goal early in the third. The difference in the hockey game, and here go the linesmen again. This time they wave Hextall and Lemaire out of the face-off circle, so Lafleur comes in against Netamansky. And neither of them is a stranger to center position. Puck came right out in front of the Detroit net. Tommy Bergman took it in behind his goal. Libet tipped it off to Netamansky. He and Hextall moving out, but Schutt came back to stop it. Canadians drive it back into the Detroit end. Again, Rutherford for a skate, steering it into the corner. Tommy Bergman's pass now to Hextall over on the right side. Here's Netamansky going after it. Netamansky is going in with a shot right on. Libet drove the rebound wide after Dryden had stopped Netamansky. Canadians come back. Here's Lafleur on the right side to Lemaire. Lemaire put it right out in front. And Netamansky came back to cover up on Steve Schutt. Larry Robinson with a shot. Oh, and Rutherford a big save there. There's going to be a penalty coming up to Montreal as Rutherford was dumped. I believe it's Montreal. No, Tommy Bergman by the looks of it.
Steve Schutt, I believe, is going to get the penalty.
I thought he waved. No, he was waving first of all at a Detroit player, but now it is the Canadian player who's going to go off as he dumped Rutherford at
Let me tell you, that's a good break for the Wings. There's 3 minutes and 28 seconds to go. As long as the Wings don't get careless now, there'll only be 1 minute and 28 seconds to go on the clock when Schutt comes out of the penalty box, providing there are no other penalties.
Well, the Wings have had the last 3 power play opportunities.
the opportunity to put this game out of reach. He picked up a loose puck. He skated the length of the ice. He shot probably from a little too far back. The rebound come out, and as Nicky Libet come in, he took a wild swing at it, but was bouncing all over, and Nick never got a hold of it at all.
Well, it's an interference call to Steve Shutt at 16 minutes and 32 seconds. And the Canadians very unhappy with the call, and they are not coming out right now, as Scotty Bowman is more or less telling them to take their time, and now Bruce Hood says, let's get it going. Shutt is in the penalty box. And Scotty Bowman is really making motions at referee Bruce Hood, and Hood is giving him a warning. And Hood is putting up with everything.
When you got the Canadians arguing and fighting like that, things are going your way. They're all upset.
Well, right now, referee Bruce Hood is in a perfect position to call a penalty for delay of game. Canadians are making no move to come out. Now Larry Robinson does come out with Lapointe, and it's Lemaire and Savard up front. The Wings win the face-off. Detroit with the extra man. They're deep in their own zone with Harper. Dropping it off for Jean Hamel. Hamel pulling away from Savard, coming out center ice. Here's Hamel over the line. He took a shot that deflected wide of the Montreal net, and the Canadians' Lemaire moves out. Here now Jacques Lemaire going into the Detroit zone. Lemaire trying to work around Harper, put it right out in front. Lapointe was there, but the puck went high. It came back to the line. Larry Robinson holds it in. He drove a shot, and it went wide. The Wings are not going after the puck. Robinson holds it in with another shot, and the save made by Rutherford, and he holds on to it. And you'd think it was Montreal with the extra men.
Well, this is what you worry about. The forwards are thinking more of the opportunity for them to score goals. Coach Crom is going to make a switch of this. Let me tell you, Jimmy Rutherford comes up with a big save on a shot that was really fired by big Larry Robinson.
2 minutes, 52 seconds remain to be played in the third period. A minute and 24 seconds in Steve Shutt's penalty.